Okay, the time is now 6:30. We are in session. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, April 10th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You can join the meeting at the Zoom link provided in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by audio as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 hours in advance of 15 minutes in advance of the meeting. If providing comments in person and at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing the city secretary or by calling 210-607-0834 if speaking telephonically or by audio. An audio recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act. Madam Secretary, may I have a call to order and a quorum call, please?
Here. Alderwoman Walker. Here. Alderman Assembly.
Here.
Alderman Fillinger.
Here.
Alderman McKinley.
Here.
City Attorney here and City Secretary have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We're on record. All right. Let's see here. Citizens to be heard. Persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated as above. Do we have anybody signed up to speak? All right. So Mr. Reagan, I do have you on the agenda. Do you want to use that time now, or do you want to go wait until your point comes? Okay. On the agenda. Okay. And I'll put you at the front just so that way you don't have to be here for the whole thing if you don't want to. All right. So moving right along. Mayor and administrator announcements and updates. Only updates that I have is that the Redbird Mountain project has been completed. So we'll start processing final invoices for that. We did an inspection with the engineer and the construction crew, and me and Priscilla were there for that time, and we agreed that's what Sandy Oaks is going to look like in the future. If you haven't had a chance, take a moment to cruise on by. Beautiful edging, beautiful asphalt, beautiful driveways. I mean, it really brings Sandy Oaks into the future. So I look forward to it, and I hope you get a chance to check it out and see the work that Gilbert County has helped us complete. Next item is that our former city secretary, our former court clerk, Catherine Yelton, her what would you call it?
Celebration of Life.
Celebration of Life. There you go. Is this weekend, and it's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the community center. So definitely, if you have an opportunity and you were a part of Catherine's life, be sure to stop by and pay your respects to her. Last thing that I do have on my announcements is that in the previous meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Madero did ask the auditor to provide some clarification on miscellaneous income. They did speak to, the auditor did come back with some information. Of the $16,600 was from the school crossing guard fund. Of that $602, of the $16K, $602 was the opioid settlement fund. Of the $16K, $3,089 was animal control donations. Of the $16K, 513 was park donations. Of that was office fees. $77 was office fees. Of the $16K, $4,900 was from the code enforcement abatement, which we did have one abatement in this fiscal year, I think last year actually. And then lastly, of the $16K, $600 was from permit fees. So I can make some adjustments to the budgets going forward and try to mix those in and find an appropriate line for them so they don't fall under miscellaneous. But I think that's all the announcements that I have for today. Okay. Moving right along, Consent agenda, all matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered appropriate.
For item C from the consent agenda. For discussion.
Is that your motion to pull item C? Okay. All right, I have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem Madero and a second by Alderman Fillinger to pull item C, approved work invoice for minus 337432 for discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimous.
Mayor, I would move to approve item 5A and 5B from the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Madero and a second from Alderman Fillinger to approve item A and B of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimous. Motion carries. All right, so like you said, questions about agenda item C. So previously,
Yeah, I'm just not sure what it is. That's my question. If you could explain that, sir.
yep, so this is for the cameras? Dash cams.
Down PR readers, monitor systems that we, purchased from Axon. The body cameras is also Axon, but
That's later. So this was previously approved and
So we've already approved it.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. We have to approve it twice.
It's, I'm just adding clarity, ma'am.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, that's I don't think I need to say that. There's no other.
Sure.
It's not necessary though, but, you know, they need to make everything transparent to everybody. We bring it back up.
All right,
To add though, I did add this because Tom, this is the part where I have to ask you to call your friends and send us the funds. So,
now you're asking Tom for the money.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, sir, if there's no other discussion on that, I would move to approve item 5C.
Okay,
And I'll second.
all right. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Madero and by a second by Alderman Fillinger to approve item 5C. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that is unanimous and the motion carries. All right, moving right along. In item 6. Actually, let's not do that. I want to jump to. Yeah. There we go.
Well,
Yes, 12B. 12B, agenda item 12B, update on property improvement plan provided by property owner of residential address 3807 Waterwood Pass, Sandy Oaks, Texas 78112. You have the floor, miss.
she's got the update with her.
Oh. Okay, all right, then that's fine. We'll go back to that. 6A, no, you're fine. 6A, the income and expenses for February 2025 will be reported by City Secretary Delma Doyle with possible discussion and or action. Ma'am, you have the floor.
City balance or the ending balance as of February 1st, 2025 was $644,326.96. Checks and payments cleared are $144,770.76. Deposits are $139,775.46. And payment ending balance as of February 28th, 2025 was $639,742.01. That was the general fund. The TDA grant is actually started at $13,544.20 for the small activity, so it's stayed at the same dollar. The ARPA fund,
had a statement beginning balance of 76,980.39. No checks or balance, no checks or payments, and no deposits and credits, with an ending balance of 76,980.39.
I think we wanna take them one at a time, I guess.
Yeah,
We, spoke last month about listing, more, or defining more, where these expenses are, where they're going to. I see several blank lines with the dollar amounts there. And then we also asked about the Amazon expenses, that it be shown which department that was for, that this, all these Amazon orders aren't coming out of the general fund, it's coming out of the department that's ordering the supplies. So
So-
there are just many, I mean, there's, one on, February 3rd for $739, it doesn't say who the payee was. There's one that says online for 7,000, for online, what was the payment for? It just says online. It's big question mark there. Further down on 211, there's an Amazon expense. Doesn't say which department it's for. Right below it, there's an expense of $1,300.77 on 212. Blank for the payee. Another expense further down on 218 for $693.13. No payee listed. Another for Amazon on 225. No department listed. And what are these CPS payments that we're making?
City Public Service.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're just utility payments, is that what they are?
so the community center, the city hall, the little area out in front where our sign's at, and then the residential lights.
So there's another expense on 228 for $1,500. Nothing listed as who the payee is. So those are my questions. They're on expenses. So
Yeah, and that's,
exactly who it's for. I can go on. There's more and
no, and I get it. So to answer your first question, right, they all come out of the general fund. I just need to clarify that. They all come out of the general fund. And then that's the bank account. And then QuickBooks is what is my department. So if each account doesn't have a bank account.
well, when departments come forward and want to order something from Amazon, they come in and make a request for whatever. Who has the account for Amazon? There should be only one individual who can make purchases
No.
on Amazon.
I don't agree.
Each department should not be making purchases on Amazon without knowledge of the credit card holder, because it's all being charged to that one credit card.
There's not one credit card holder.
But even if it all comes out of the general fund, doesn't it come off of the bottom line for that department?
Yes,
Animal
yes.
control, so I
Right.
thought we were gonna start getting that, where animal control started the month of February with $5,000. They made
Right, so.
some Amazon expenses, some transport expenses, whatever, and they ended the month with $4,000.
Right, so if you look
So-
at the budget that we've given you, right,
So that's later on. Okay,
Right.
that's fine. We can
When
talk,
we get there, I'm just trying to.
and
get
that's fine.
Some clarity on.
That's what he was trying to
Yeah.
ask. Understand. it's
so
all
this shows, right, that. For the month of October, the month of March, the city clerk had salaries of $3,372.32, right? There's your clarity. No, it doesn't give you what their Amazon purchases were for that month, right? But that shows you budget by budget, department by department, what they spend that month, generally, right?
Okay.
If you're wanting line by line transactions, that's something different. That's not to say it can't be done. I
But can we
just,
get the information at least filled in here so that we don't?
and that's the thing, we do provide it, but it doesn't transfer over for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And also
and that's
online,
not- and that's not an
online isn't a
excuse.
legitimate explanation for
I know.
spending $7,000.
so I mean, again,
So-
I'm not providing an excuse by any way or shape or form. The data's there, and why it doesn't come across, I don't know. Right? I print these same reports and I can't get the data, but if I click on the transaction, it's there.
But we
Sure.
pay QuickBooks, it's, they're in here as an expense too. Why can't QuickBooks help us
There,
figure out why this isn't working?
right. And there's also some checks there that are written, and there's no pay further for the check. Now,
Right.
that should be an easy one
Sure.
to do,
I mean, that, but.
so.
I don't know why.
So-
It shows the QuickBooks and then.
What does QuickBooks say?
Quick,
What
it's
happened?
not QuickBooks, right? QuickBooks is just the software. We're talking about what they're talking about is going to our accountant and saying, fix this. Right? That's something different. And that's something that we have had to have the discussion with, but it hasn't translated into it. Right?
Okay.
The transparency is there. I'll open up the books to anybody that wants it. If you want to go and sit there and look at every single line by line, you will see the data. Okay, now why it doesn't print out on this specific report, I have no idea. But
Didn't find out. Look at the report.
Yeah, well, I mean, but if you look at the deposits, there's a $32,000 deposit, a $20,000 deposit. I mean, and there's no explanation for where this came from. I think
mean, it's
we
crappy
should be
software.
asking this information.
We're talking transparency, it's not transparent. to us.
That's.
well, come and
clearly
sit
not-
down. Come and sit down in the office and you can see.
No, it needs to be in our report, doesn't it?
Yes.
We shouldn't have to come in and dig through papers.
Okay.
Nobody's
Well,
saying
here's
dig
a
into
question
papers.
not even related
Sure.
to the problem. How come the very first item on here is a Pilot Travel Center $110 charge
Mhm.
with a date of October 8th, 2024?
It wasn't balanced. It
It wasn't paid.
balanced out. It was not. And so,
And who is Centus?
Cintas,
Cintas.
they do our rugs, they do uniforms.
Because
they
we
do-
had two payments to them in the same day, February 5th.
But one of them.
It's for rugs and one of them is for uniforms.
Uniforms.
Yeah.
Okay, and why do we keep paying Toshiba money? We got an equipment finance and then we have periodically other payments to Toshiba for what?
Paper, ink, and the printer rental. And we added another printer.
Okay, so they're the supplier.
Yeah.
And then we have a Chase credit card payment of $16,000 on,
That's how we conduct our transactions, right? Because we don't want individual cards like debit cards for the bank account. So we contracted with Chase to provide us a credit card. That takes all the potential risk for fraud. Then we make a one-time payment once a month to pay it off.
but so where did that $16,000 we charged on the credit card come from?
Came from what do you mean, like multiple transactions? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Because if you're subtracting this $16,000.
I mean, I can
credit card
provide the
payment
Chase
here,
statements, the credit card
Right.
statements that
I'm
break
just-
down to
I'm
16,000.
just saying that if you're saying this is $16,000 we spent on something,
Yeah, no, not something,
it,
all our daily activities, right?
Right.
Monthly expenses.
but all of these monthly expenses are not that $16,000.
Yep.
So is what I'm saying. So what other monthly expenses do we have that equate to $16,000 in 1 month? And then we got Frost Bank, where March 12th on the same report, we gave them $8,000. What are we doing with Frost Bank?
What we're doing, we're paying our road bond,
Here,
the
Okay.
interest,
so
yeah,
that's the road bond to Frost Bank.
right.
So,
Like I said, guys, I have nothing to hide. You want to come and sit here and look at it, by
but
all
it's not
means.
just us, the citizens have a right to
It's
know.
not that we're saying
Because
you're
this
hiding
budget-
something.
Yeah,
We would
but
just like to see it in the
Right,
report.
and this budget should be attached to the meeting minutes when they're published, so that our citizens can see that we're doing due diligence and taking proper care of their tax money they're paying for us.
Sure.
And there's a question they're gonna have, why did the city write check number 2438 to Michael Martinez for $131?
sure, I can tell you why, but it's
I'm sure.
confidential. But for the most part, we had some victims in the office and I had to buy them dinner.
Just needed, just some sort
How
of.
do you want me to write that in there? Victim dinner? Literally, what do you want me to put there?
Employee
gives you
compensation, something, but just saying.
I'm not an employee.
No.
But
No,
again.
It was given to you because of employee compensation.
No,
you had to
I
provide.
bought something, yes. I
So,
bought something
because
for the city,
I'm
for the
I'm
people
just
that were here.
saying that everybody knows that we are not paid in this position, and if
Right.
the city is writing checks to you, they're gonna wanna know you how. And
That
I'm sure the
comes-
city attorney could help you figure out a way to properly indicate that in the paperwork, so that it doesn't look like the mayor is just getting written a check, because that's not the only one. The next month has a check written as well.
To me,
The next report has a check listed for Michael Martinez too.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Oh, it's the same check reported twice. So the same check is on both the February and March report. Sorry. So it is just the one check. I'm just saying, for total transparency,
Mhm.
if I was a citizen, I would want to know this information. Not just me coming in as mayor pro tem or Alderman Tremblay coming in and looking at this report, we have a responsibility to the citizens of our town to show them clearly how we are expending their tax money, especially since we had a significant increase this past year on our taxes. And if we ever hope to go forward with another tax increase, we should show them that we're doing due diligence and properly reporting it. I'm not sure how to fix this QuickBooks thing,
Yeah,
but
that's my
But this
issue,
is-
right? Is
this
I
is
don't know
a
how to fix it.
repeated, and we're paying QuickBooks $100 every month.
I
So,
don't know what you think you get for $100, man.
but,
Yeah, use
I
of
don't know.
software.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
so that gets you the use of the software, but
But what we need to do is hire or find a QuickBooks expert to guide us with that.
I agree.
doing that, because we're paying $100 for a tool that doesn't work.
We need a new report.
Now, as to the victim center, if you could label that as mayor's office expense, so you have, in the budget, you have discretionary funds. And and just write it as reimbursement for.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that can be done, and could be done in the budget that we have at the end of it, but I don't know if it was or not. Yeah, but nonetheless, look, I agree. We can put it on there. I just gotta figure out how to get in front of it and then we can talk through it.
Is there a way, Delmo, for you to? You have at your fingertips information relating to what the blank items are, do you put you, where they're blanks, where there's. an
Right now, no.
expense and it's blank, do you have
Like,
that, do you have that information?
like, the Chase credit card.
He's wondering if you're able to provide that answer to like, what did you write check 2435 for? What was supposed to be here on the third line for the 700?
Oh, yeah.
But no, if you don't have it right now, I'm wondering if you have that right now.
Yeah.
And could you just pen and ink that in these rather than having blank lines? I mean, and one that jumps out as with no explanation is a $50,000 expense.
Right, the road bond.
parking.
The road
That's the
bond.
road bond?
Yeah.
I'm also
Significant.
curious about the two, I mean, the one is 20,000, the other is $32,000 deposit. The city's getting money from somewhere and it doesn't say where.
Those amounts has got to be very tax.
So again, right, if you look in your
We can
budget,
assume, but again,
This report is.
it doesn't give us the information that we owe to our citizens, in my opinion. Whether it's the tools problem, whether it's a reporting problem, I don't know, but we either need to figure out how to make the tool do what we needed to, or stop paying $105 for a tool that's not meeting our needs.
It needs to be addressed. We need the information in our packet. It answers our questions. And all of these, this is all available to the public. They want this, they can get it, and they're gonna look at it and say the same thing, the ordinance is for. They're gonna want it, we're gonna tell them. We should be able to provide it.
fair enough.
And similar issues with the March report.
If it's in the report, we don't have to provide answers.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, look, this is what I can
I
do.
know other cities are using QuickBooks. And their reports are not like this, so we have a tool, when we get it cleared up.
Fair enough. I will put some time with our, the one person that helps us with our reconciliations monthly. See if she can figure out another report that we can give that provides a little bit more explanation as to what it is. I don't think they have that level of detail, right? Because you think about it, right? Generally speaking, QuickBooks is a tool to make sure you manage your budget, right? And so that's what this tool is. That's what they're showing you in this
If we didn't
report.
have blanks, that
Can
would
I-
be a significant improvement.
If I could
Can-
finish
can
my
we figure
statement,
that?
right? It's not gonna tell you how much of the pilot travel went to public works, how much went to animal control, how much went to here and there. It's not gonna tell you that. It's gonna tell you pilot travel. So if you can live with that, fine, but as David already said, he's not, because Amazon that you're gonna see here, not gonna tell you who spent it.
But we know internally who is spending what. We know internally. Donna's shaking her head, yes.
Because
We
Right.
know.
Yeah.
according to our credit card policy, it has to be turned into her who spent what and who approved the expenditure of what. So there's some way for her to track it. It might not be in here, but getting rid of the blanks.
Sure, that's fine, but that's not what you just said. But that's not what y'all just said, right? You said you wanna know what the Amazon is. I don't have that, right? I don't have that in QuickBooks. I don't have that in the bank. I'd have to give you an Amazon statement, right, for you to look through. How many statements? You wanna look at the fuel statements? You wanna look at the credit card statements? You wanna look at the Amazon statements? If you wanna look at all the statements, they're all there. We have them saved.
Could be identified.
That's not what you said right now, David.
I need everything on here that has a blank space on it
Okay,
to be identified.
that can be done.
Right.
And when you
Right.
put Amazon, you can't put dash ACO police department. Just put next to the word Amazon, who all that went to, even if it doesn't say how much went to each department, but which departments were expending that. Is that
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that can be
just
added
add,
in there.
just
Well,
add next to Amazon in parentheses or something, which departments, without breaking it down. in
yes
detail.
yes and no, right? Because again, this is the reconciliation, so it's all it's gonna show is the transaction for $1,000, right? Make it up. For $1,000, it's not broken up between 250 here, 250 there, and 500 there. That's not what this tool does. We can get you that. It's a different report. It's not the reconciliation, right? So we can get you transactional level reports, but it's not gonna provide the context of who spent what department.
I understand that, but when you put in here and type Amazon, after the word Amazon, can you list the departments without specifying how much money each department spent? Just include in the pay box.
We do.
ACO, court
We-
clerk,
we reference-
supply, yeah.
So it's in there, it's just not, the report's not doing what you need.
Yeah, we put everything in the lower.
So it's in there.
Description box, but it doesn't. come out.
I'll see if there's another way to pull this. I mean,
Okay, so she's saying she's already putting it in there, it's just. not
yeah,
showing
so it's just not printed
So-
out.
And I understand completely that when it's a $1,000 Amazon expense, you can't break it out into details, how much of that.
Not in
$1,000
this
went to
level,
each
right? Not
department.
in this.
That's fine,
this
but if it
report.
just lists which departments were spending as part of that $1,000, I think is what, Alderman Tremblay is asking for the minimum here, in addition to the other report that you're providing to us in here.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, we can, I'll put some time with our, accountant to see if they can help us figure out why it's not translating. So I will.
Need a motion to accept, the February reconciliation report. I'll make a motion.
Can we wait until we get some blanks filled in?
We have the numbers. I think we can accept the report. We're just asking for more clarity.
Okay,
Hopefully, we can get that in the coming months.
Yeah, it's just a
And
printout,
we will
so,
go back to this one and get it. We see what the numbers are. And the actual, budget report, the actuals on the budget should reflect what's being done every month. We should see what their percentages are based on their original budgets. Agree?
um,
And the budget actuals, which will come up
That's
after-
fine.
after next month's.
I mean. I don't like the way our budget's being presented, but that's fine.
I do have a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderwoman, I don't know, by Walker, was Alderwoman Walker? Alderwoman CJ, Alderman, there you go. All right, Alderwoman CJ to accept the February, financial, the income and expenses as presented. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
All those opposed?
No.
All right, that motion carries. Yeah, well, let's finish March. Let's go through that one and then we'll jump. All right, moving on to agenda item 6B, the income and expenses for March 2025 will be reported by the city secretary, Delma Doyle, with possible discussion and or action.
$553,610. The ARPA fund started with a statement balance of $71,990.39. It's not tipping, so it isn't the $7. The two-day grants started with $15,544.20. The North Sea that well, and the other.
I know you may not know this without having access, but do you know what the expense is on March 14th for $50,000?
That's the road bond. I mean, no, that's the, yeah, it's the road bond. That's the principal payment.
That's the principal payment?
Yeah.
And then you have check number 2437 for $3,707.
Hold on. 2437.
Those were listed on the previous months.
I know, but they're actually supposed to be in the March.
370750, that's payable to Judge Frank Dixon.
And then check number 2439 is $14,000.
That was for two Tahoes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
14,000 even? Yeah, the two Tahoes.
That's right, we approved that last time. And then any idea where the city keeps getting all these deposits from?
Yeah, so they're payments for tickets. That's what I'm assuming they are. The little small 50, 100, 65,
700.
700, yeah.
So you're assuming these are all tickets.
I'm assuming those are all tickets. But if you look at 700.
And then the 32,000 is probably the taxes.
700. Yeah, I think that is a state of Texas payment for its ticket.
So most of these are probably tickets.
Yeah. And that's the problem, right? So when we pay, state of Texas sends it in and it doesn't provide much of a description. So that's where the court side has to be.
Just to know that it came in from the court system as a court payment is, I think is sufficient to
Yeah.
indicate that it's.
And I want to say that those type of transactions are auto upload. So that's why the details don't transfer as easily. So she doesn't have her hands on it per se, right? So those are the ones that we don't worry about as much because all the manual stuff that has to be added in takes time. Because those are ACH deposits. And then before you want to make your motion, if anybody wants to make a motion, I think we can look at the budget. So, and I try to give you sort of what you want, but it's not what you're needing. I try to give it on a monthly basis. So in mine, it's in the back, but it's the March budget versus actuals, right? So what we received for the month of March versus what went out, or rather the budget versus actuals of what came in versus what we spent, so on and so forth. So the first page and a half. First page actually is income. And the second and third page are going to be expense. So me and Delma spent about three hours this morning going through transactions and trying to clean things up from the last 2 months that were put into different incorrect areas and so on. So it's certainly a work in process. But it's just a reclassification of accounts. What I don't like about it is that it takes your budget and it breaks it up to just 1 month. So things look very whiplash, right? So it looks very like it's either overperforming or it's underperforming because you had a budgeted amount for that month, And either you got all your funds that month or you got nothing, and so it looks like you're not doing anything. Right, but the reality is this is just a glimpse of one single month. If you look at the main one, which is the beginning, like the one at the front, I think is a better view because that looks at year to date. Up until September 30th of 2025. So that's what I look at and I say, okay, we're about 6 months into it. Are we about 50% of where we're operating? And then anything that's overperforming or underperforming, I'm reviewing and going with Delma to say, okay, what's in here? Let's move it. And that's what we spent the better part of this morning doing.
So there are any shortfalls that you see that we need to address?
I don't think so. The one that is gonna be a shortfall is the police department, because we need to make budget amendments there. Because we've authorized for them to pay for things in this budget cycle that we originally didn't forecast for when we originally drew up the budget. But like Tom's assisted with was now gonna be the second payment, so I need to go and adjust his budget to reflect, $35,000 more. Because it's not gonna show here, right? It's gonna show that we only approved him for 30,000. But with the amendments that we would make from Tom injecting funds into his account, that basically making the budget 55,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, are we projecting or anticipating
A surplus.
additional overtime for the police department?
Yeah.
So we've taken that into consideration when we.
Not as much, because the way we factored in the full-time officers in 24 hours, there's gonna probably be a little bit of overrun, but the chief had a way to kind of not get around it, but to make sure that we're not gonna burn through so much cash paying out the overtime.
Well, it's understandable that it's gonna be overtime.
Yeah.
Police department. You cannot, and you don't know what's gonna happen.
Right, right.
From one day to the next.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But, just, concerned that.
I'm trying to limit
as we
it.
get closer to year end.
Yeah.
We're gonna have this big shortage in
Well,
every department.
So if you recall the conversation with the auditor last year, we have about 5 months worth of income available, right? So should we run short, we're gonna have the funds there to cover it. We have, at this point, I have $40,000 coming in from the that we've already paid out to the Red Mountain Road project that we're getting reimbursed. So that's gonna be some more income that we have on here. So I think the 4.5 month is really probably 5 to 6 months that we have in extra, not extra income, but in residual funds to compensate for it. And I apologize if I come across as aggressive with my numbers. I'm a financial guy, and so when I get questioned on it, it's an attack on me, and that's my fault because I'm proud of my numbers, right? I'm proud that we're in the positive, we're in the black, we're doing well, we're managing budgets as best as we can. I'm a numbers guy, and this is what I make my money on at work. So I have a right to defend my numbers. So
Keep it up and we're gonna shave your head.
it's been a long time since it's been shaped. Any more questions?
So I guess we need-
Could take a motion if somebody's willing to do so.
All right, I move we approve the financial report for March 2025.
I'll
All right, I got a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Fillinger to accept the March expense report, income and expense report as presented. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? All right, that's unanimous. That motion carries. And as stated previously, I will personally talk to our accountant to figure out what's going on here. So that way we can have all those gaps filled in. All right, so now let's jump to 12B, update on property improvement plan provided by the property owner. A residential address 3807 Waterwood Pass, Sandy Oaks, Texas 78112. Mr. Reagan, you do have the floor.
Thank you, City Council. Pleasure to talk to you again. And it's just, of course, my bride's provided all of the updates. My bride's provided all the updates, and if there's any questions or concerns. And I wanted to also thank you for getting it in a regular item on the agenda. And I'd appreciate that going forward, just so if there needs to be any communication, we can do that.
I'm not, I don't see, I don't think everybody got a copy of the bills.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So did you put a roof on the trailer? Is that what this says?
So it's a tarp
Okay,
to keep the rain off my,
the
there's
structure.
still contents inside that I need to go through.
Okay. And then I saw you put a fence, right? Is that,
Yes, it's just to keep any workers or anybody from
yeah,
a lot going on around now.
yeah, people walk by. I got you. I hear you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
we do understand that fence has to come down.
Yes, sir.
When you're done.
Yes, sir. I was very clear to explain
Okay,
the
I'm good.
temporary fence. Yes, sir.
So do you feel like you're on track to complete it by the allotted time?
We are doing, I think we're doing pretty good.
Okay, now,
So that's,
I did speak to, Mr. Goharder, who you can see he's already got his
I
house
see
going
that.
up. And, saw him this morning actually, and, in 90 days, he'll be done, that house will be done and on the market or sold. So he's hoping to sell it right away. As it's an investment for him to, hopefully he's trying to retire.
Right.
So, I think it's important to think about Mr. Goharder there and help him out as well as about the city. Appreciate it.
any help I can get is greatly appreciated. I,
Okay.
sometimes, most of the time, I want to be in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Reagan. All right, moving right along. The 7A received brief from Alderman Rapino on quarterly investment report with possible discussion and or action. Alderman Rapino, you do have the floor.
The beginning date of our investment amount was 1/31/25, and the maturity date was 3/31/25. The beginning amount was $143,586.57. The ending amount was $145,135.09, and we gained earnings of $1,549.52. With the $15,275 that we are in 21 cents that we are going to be rating it with, it'll probably, the beginning amount will be in the $129,000 range. With the commotion in the markets that has been going on, I'm afraid to look at my 401k, but I'm not sure we will have a big earning. I don't know what our earnings will be like, although the investments that Texpool makes are very guarded, so we may not have suffered a big. I'll talk to them when I arrange to have these funds withdrawn, sent forward to the city's account. So that's generally, in the future, I've talked to the city attorney about maybe in the future coming forth to the council with a proposal to start making monthly donations to the fund so that we can build, so that in the future we can have money set aside that when things like this arise, we can have something to fall back on, a cushion. Wouldn't have to be a lot every month, and some months we wouldn't have to do it at all. It's just what the general health of the city would be at that time.
Yep.
If we could arrange to have a certain amount put aside and sent to the investment, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 25,000, you know, whatever we have available. And there are ways to make money with this. If we have a set amount, that is just sitting, fallow in our bank account. Say we had 100,000 and, Frost happened to have a CD that was, a 3-month note. We didn't need that money for 3 months. We could put it in their CD and they,
Earn some interest.
I've made, you know, for $100,000 deposit, you can make 5%. And, you know, that's $5,000 in 3 months. It builds up.
Yeah.
So we can do things like that if we don't need the money immediately, and that'll build our wealth. Slow, but be surprised at how fast it builds.
Mhm.
So that's all I have right now.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Does
Appreciate it.
anybody want to make a motion to accept the investment report?
I move to accept the investment report.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
You sure you can do that?
So,
It's your report. I want you to sign it in blue.
I already signed.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, never mind. All right, so then I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the investment report as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimous. The motion carries. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. All right, our Public Works Director is not available at this time, so we will skip item 8A. You have an update on her, Delma? Okay. Okay, she strained her shoulder, so we will see her soon. Okay, moving on to the next item, then animal control updates and announcements from ACO Cunningham for possible discussion, interaction. So just any updates and announcements you got?
For just do.
Announcements, yeah.
Okay, so announcements. We, are still working with, Rescued After a Doggy. We're working with Austin Pets Alive. We're still working with Relinquished Souls, Animal Rescue. They're the ones that take the dogs to Canada. I'm still currently working with all of them and some private rescues as well. And we have gotten all of our dogs, as of today, all of our dogs have been pulled, which means, are tagged, which means that they'll be getting put on transport and sent to those rescues as soon as they find transport. I also have been encouraging the citizens, if your dog is under 40 pounds, if you need your dog fixed, there is a program with SA Humane, and it's called What Would Mary Do? And that is a very, very good program. I encourage anyone whose dog is under 40 pounds or less, to take your dog and get it fixed there. We are issuing citations for dogs that are not fixed. And so that's a cheap, easy way to get your dog fixed. It only costs $30.
And you don't have to be San Antonio resident. It's Bear
No,
County.
it's for.
It's open to
for-
all Bear County.
Yes. You don't have to do a zip code.
Yep.
Grant.
Yep.
If you are in I know this probably doesn't pertain here, but if across the highway, if you're in a 78264 zip code, that has been updated to be one of the zip codes that qualify. So it might be helpful to someone who lives close by. And I think that's all earlier today, we did get a donation from, a lady who came in and brought us like 5 bags of dog toys. And we have been getting several donations from our wish list. It is posted on the Facebook and it is also on the Nextdoor. If anyone would like to donate on there, we do have a wish list on Amazon that people can order from.
Any other announcements?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, moving right along. Presentation of monthly report by ACO Cunningham with possible discussion interaction. Amy, on the floor again.
So for the month of March, we had 9 warnings. We had 11 citations. We had 1 referral, 6 impounds, 1 impound and citation. There was 9 that we were unable to locate, 2 dead animal pickups. And then we had 4 cases that were resolved prior to contact. In total, we had calls for strays was 39. And that was most of what our calls were for. And then 4 of them were for enforcement. In total, we had 43 calls for service. The total number of animals that were taken into the animal control facility for the month of March was 14. Animals in custody as of the 4th was 7. Today we have, I think we have 5. I think we have 3 open kennels. The dogs that were transferred to shelters, returned to owners, or adopted for the month of March was 15, which is pretty high. That means that we got 15 dogs out of here. So that was awesome. That was really good.
Yeah.
And then we didn't euthanize any dogs for the month of March. And then we actually had 2 dogs come in for clinic, which I haven't had to add before, but they came in for microchipping. So that was pretty awesome. So they're taking advantage of the services that we're offering.
That's good.
That's it.
Awesome. Any questions?
You're doing a great job. I brought my dogs, their paws, penny paws, couldn't find the microchip.
Oh, really?
Chip, and I took it over and right away. There it is, they found it right away. That's skill.
The magic wand. All right. Do we want to make a motion to accept the report as presented?
Motion. We accept the report as provided, as given.
I'm sorry.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to accept the ACO monthly report as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is unanimous. Moving right along. All right, updates and announcements from Chief Watkins with possible discussion and interaction. Sir, you do have the floor.
As far as updates and announcements, as of April the 6th, we now have 24-hour coverage in the city. So we have, everybody's been released. We now have 24-hour coverage 7 days a week. We also do have, our new citation and report writing system, eForce, is up and running as well. We've now transitioned to using that new program. And that's all I have for updates and announcements.
Okay. And let's move right along. Presentation of monthly report by Chief Juarez with possible discussion and interaction. Report, sir.
So, far call for service, I guess I'll go through them down the line. Fire alarms, we had 3, Bear County had 2. Resident alarms, Bear County had 2. Assaults, we had 2, Bear County had 1. Assisting EMS, we had 1, Bear County had 3. Burglary of a residence, Bear County had 1. City ordinance violations, we had 16. Civil matters, keep the peace, we had 2. Civil matter properties, Bear County had 2. A non-injury crash, Bear County responded to 1. Damaged property, we had 1. Family disturbance, Bear County had 3. Noise disturbances, we had 2. Bear County had 10. Verbal disturbances, we had 4. Bear County had 1. Shots fired report, Bear County had 2. Emergency detention, Bear County had 1. Harassment case, Bear County had 1. Indecency with a child, we had 1. Information report, we had 9. Bear County had 5. Officer initiated activity, we had 5. Bear County had 1. Patrol by request, Bear County had 16. Public intoxication, we had 1. Reckless driving, Bear County had 2. Runaways, we had 1. Sexual assault, that would be a adult. We had 2. Sexual assault of a child, we had 8. Suspicious activity, we had 1. Bear County had 8. Suspicious vehicle, we had 1. Bear County 5. Theft reports, we had 4. Bear County had 3. Threat reports, Bear County had 2. Traffic hazards, we had 2. Welfare checks, we had 4. Bear County 6. 911 hangups, we had 9. Bear County had 19. Traffic stops, we had 63. Bear County had 0. And Lieutenant Alvarez closed 15 cases for court. So I do want to emphasize that our calls for service did drop, and so did our citations, but we also had 11 sexually related offenses that we're working on. And I have like all hands on deck working on these, including myself. I've taken on some cases, Lieutenant's taken on some. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, him and Officer Palomares have to attend 2 other interviews in the city. So when you have something like that, we're not going to be on the road as much because we have all hands on deck working on these cases. That's just too many cases to just handle 1 investigator or even 2 or 3 people to handle 11 sexual assaults that all came in 1 month. Right? Well, 10 sexual assaults and 1 indecency with a child. The same thing, item different. The difference is there's no penetration and an indecency like there is in a sexual assault. So
These all happen in our city.
all in our city, correct. So I just want to emphasize, I know our traffic stops went down. I know our city ordinance violations went down, but considering everything that happened, I think the officers did quite a bit because we have all hands on deck in this case.
And it was still 2 officers.
And we still
On
only had
patrol.
2 officers patrolling at that time. Now, as of the 6th of this month, we have everybody. We have 24-hour coverage now, but we did it last month when all of these were coming in. So, Investigator Alvarez, myself, been responding a lot coming out. Especially Investigator Alvarez. I think he's had a weekend off the last month, to be honest with you. He was here Saturday, Sunday again this past weekend. So it's been a very busy month as far as reports.
If I could, just 2 questions. The patrol by request, I noticed, that those are all Bear County. Now, I'm assuming that's because we weren't 24/7 and that in the future, those should be done by our police officers on duty, correct?
Correct. Those are usually somebody will call, hey, can somebody drive by my house? I hear noises out there. And we had last month a 6 to 2 shift and a 2 to 10 shift. And majority of those are going to come in after 10 o'clock at night, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, we didn't have any reported to us, but they should come into us unless,
Understood.
like right now, Officer Palomares has an arrest. So if somebody calls in, hey, can you do a patrol by? They're gonna have to send Bear County because she's with an arrest here, right? So if something like that happens, we're not gonna have anybody there.
Understood. There will still be some. And then when you say, Lieutenant Alvarez, closed cases for court, you mean he's finished the investigation, he
Done.
submitted everything,
Submitted.
so now it's over with the county to prosecute?
Correct.
All right, thank you, sir.
The sexual assault. Are we?
Getting
the
worse.
Sex offender registry, are,
We've taken it over completely from Bear County for the people in our city.
right,
So they are now, they've all been issued flyers and having to call, and they've been calling on a daily basis to, hey, why do I gotta register with you guys now? But we've taken over that from Bear County.
so I mean, you look at the map. And you look at, I mean, there are a bunch of them here.
About 25.
Can we get this information on our city website? Can that information be put so that people know where these people live?
So-
Rather than having to dig, if we can provide that information, maybe some of these men wouldn't have happened,
Right, so,
you know?
if I may, it is public knowledge. However, I don't know, I think that'd be a question for you. Can we take that public knowledge and put that on our website for somebody to see? I don't know. I do know it's public knowledge. Anybody can get on the state website and see where these people.
It takes a lot more for them to do it individually, but if you just had it, if we had it on our city website, sex offender registry, put their pictures and their addresses, because like she says, it's public information. Why can't we put it on our city website?
And, I'm sorry, well, I just wanted to say also, none of these that were committed this month were from sex offenders that we already have registered.
And that was gonna be my next question,
Yeah,
with
so
repeat
it wouldn't-
offenders.
Even if that information was on our website, it would not have, these individuals would not have been listed on our website.
So it's 8 more, besides the.
That's what you gotta worry about, the ones that aren't registered,
Right.
because the ones that are registered, we're watching closely.
So I'll ask our attorney to research that and find if it's legal for us to do that.
Even like a link to the state website or.
I think just putting them on our website, he has the information.
I mean, that would be the
Put it-
preferred option, but at the very least, a link, I guess, if we can't do what Alderman Tremblay, to actually have the picture under the police department website,
Mhm.
portion of our site.
Yeah, I don't,
Watch out.
I'll confirm, but I don't see an issue with having it on our website like a separate tab.
I like to
There's a
see them.
Pictures or
I
the
like
link?
to see him put the pictures on the address right
Okay.
there. I mean, that's something you would be
And
willing to
like,
do.
and like I said, everybody's innocent until proven guilty as well, right? So all of these individuals, these are alleged.
Right,
sexual
I'm saying the ones that are already
The ones
registered.
who are already convicted sex offenders,
Mhm.
yes, and I think the mayor and I looked at some other things we were trying to do to minimize, I guess. Or not
Put
minimize,
signage.
but what we could do, like signage, right? Some cities have where you have to post in front of your house, are you registered sex offender,
But
but,
then they would be
Mhm.
exempted because we wouldn't have, because the ordinance, let's say it passed today. Anybody that lived here prior would be
Right,
exempt
no,
from
I'm
it,
saying we
so.
take the information that's out there. The chief
Yeah.
has access to it, so does everyone else,
Yeah.
but it's more digging for
So-
individuals to do it, but if it was on our city website.
Might get more people go on our city website.
So I have a question for CJ, actually. So because that information, I guess it doesn't expire per se, but let's just say for some reason it did expire, right? How do we keep the website updated with current information? Right, so meaning that the assault that they did, for whatever reason, it gets expunged from their record. I don't want us to still have a picture of somebody that's in
Well, they
it
would
now.
have to, if they're registered with the city, they would come back to the city, say, my record has been expunged, you need to delete this.
or on justice, because some people don't have to register for life. You
Yeah.
have to register for 10 years, for
Mhm.
20 years.
Yeah, I just don't want it to have outdated information out there, right? So,
Right.
cause is there like an integration that we could tie to the website? You know what I mean?
If
Hold on, that's a
But if we're
Go
managing the registration,
if I'm interested.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of information and a whole lot of maintenance, because as I look at the Texas website, you know, registered for 5 years, registered for 10 years. And then we have to say, okay, well, when did he register? That's a lot of work. I would make a big banner, registered sex offenders, and with a link to our city on the Texas website. But,
That's the
We have-
easiest way.
well, we have so much to update on the website
Yeah.
already. I just don't see adding that as value to the city.
I think a link under the police departments,
I think so.
space on our website. Would
Would suffice. Yeah, that's fine. That's easy enough.
And I do want to emphasize also that this may not be new. This may just be new to us, because for the majority of time, Bear County was answering the majority of the calls.
Yeah.
So these type of stats might be a common occurrence for our city that we just don't know about. We're just now getting into this, right? So as we get 24-hour coverage, this might be a common thing for us to see these type of serious offenses that we have in our city on a common basis. However, on the flip side of that, there was only 179 calls for service when it's usually over 200 every single month. So we have more people out there. We have less crimes being committed, but we're just seeing the seriousness of the crimes that are coming in. And then if we won't know until we've done this for a while with 24-hour coverage, if this is a common occurrence with our city. It's just something we haven't done before, so.
I have one follow-up question. You said you registered everybody from Bear County.
No, not Bear County, for the city of San Diego.
Okay. Have you coordinated with Elmendorf, because our people used to register there versus Bear
So,
County?
Elmendorf registers Elmendorf, and no, our people were registering with Bear County. In fact, I had a call from Bear County the other day, like, hey, why are you doing this, right? Like, wait a minute, and because the more, if you have a certain amount of sex offenders registered within your agency, that opens you up for certain type of grants towards sex offender prevention or sexual violence prevention, so
They
we're
think-
taking those numbers away
they
from Bear
think
County,
we're-
they're not happy with that.
They
But-
think we're picking their fruit.
Right, so Bear County, the city of San Diego is registering in Bear County, not in Elmendorf. And that's why I know that, because we had this, I just had this conflict with Bear County this past week, because they were always registering within Bear County. Elmendorf has been doing theirs for a while, so they do their city, Sergeant Lieutenant Reyes now, he does the one in Elmendorf. And in fact, he's helped us get on track on getting everybody here for us. And so did the DPS, I don't remember his name, but he's the captain for DPS, but he's in charge for the sex offender registration in our region. He helped us get everybody on board from our city to register with us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So can we move forward and put the link on your portion of the city's website?
I don't have a problem with that.
Can we ask our Alderwoman CJ?
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. And like I said, calls for service though did decrease, 179. I see that as a positive out of that.
It's just that sexual assault thing, it's just.
It is,
It's
and-
just,
It's gut wrenching.
Coming from even coming from a city of 30,000 people, I was like, that's a high number for a 1 month basis. Granted, quite a few came from one case, right? But still, it's a high number. City ordinance violations, I know y'all asked for a breakdown of that. We had 3 of the accumulation of garbage, trash, and brush. Violation of burn ban 2, motor vehicles and right of way 1, junk vehicles 7, regulations for storage of RV 1, and 2 fence violations. Those 2 fence violations are not in occurrence with, I know that some of you are familiar with 2 incidents we're having with a couple of neighbors and their fence violations, but I've been on that, I've been on top of that. One of them was corrected as of last night. Completely correct. I think Mr. Cohen didn't know what's going on with that one. But that fence has been completely removed as of yesterday. I was out there at his house, did an inspection of that. That's been taken care of.
Yeah, I got the report that they were working on it at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, he messaged me about 10:30 at night with a picture, but I was at his house yesterday as well, going through some stuff. Also, Pleasanton High School reached out to us. I'm sorry, that should have been in the updates. They reached out to the investigator outlet asking for like a basic presentation of what we do. Police, it was their law enforcement program there for the high school. So Rick put together a nice presentation for them, sent them one of our patches. They're gonna send us they did send us a thank you letter, and they're gonna put what we sent them on display at the high school.
Cool.
I want to adjust the violations for the burn ban. We had passed an ordinance where that we follow Bear County's guideline as far as if there's a burn ban, we follow that burn ban. As far as getting a permit for burn ban in Sandy Oaks, initially was we just call in and let someone know here. On the weekend though, you can't do that, and so that's. I mean, I was burning weekend before last. I called Bear County. They were nice enough just to go ahead and give me. They said, "Well, yeah, well, I'll go ahead and give you a permit. What's your address?" And they took the information down. But that's just a little glitch we have in the ordinance because we don't have someone on site, and it would, like I say, it was just out of the office, out of the admin office.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
Just like the garage sale permit, sir. If you know that you're gonna burn on a weekend,
Not necessarily,
Yeah, you don't know.
because the Bear County may not be allowing burning. And you're following it all week and no, and then all of a sudden on Saturday, you can burn till 5 p.m.
Right.
Well, I can't call anybody. So are we going to just say, okay, if Bear County is allowing burning, we can go ahead and burn? That's pretty much how the ordinance, I think, was written. We just follow Bear County's guidance. We don't necessarily, so how are you finding a violation of a burn ban? Was it actually, there was no burning allowed and somebody was burning?
It was a burn ban in effect.
Okay,
So the way we have been doing it is exactly like you say, we're going by the recommendation from Bear County.
Fire Marshal.
Correct, and so I don't believe we have permits to issue. They've been
no.
calling up here, letting her know, hey, and then she'll tell me, hey, they're gonna be burning at this location, okay, we know. But even if somebody's burning and they haven't told us, but we have I just had this, today. They came and asked, hey, if there's no burn ban in effect, can we burn our trash? We have a trash barrel and this, and that. I said, yeah, there's no burn ban in effect, that's fine.
Not
We don't
trash,
have a
not
permit.
household
not
trash.
trash.
I didn't give them that, but I had told them, as long as there's no burn ban in effect, you can burn, right?
Good, okay.
So that's what
We
we've
understand,
been
so then that's the guideline you're following. We're good.
That's the way I've always done it.
If
I
they
call up
mention
here,
trash,
there's nobody here,
Right.
and I.
That's a no.
Just
I never
go.
had any of that.
And there's so many ordinances to try and remember each and every one, so you gotta forgive me on that one, but,
Well, I think that's even Bear County that says you
That's
can't.
the
burn.
fine.
no, unincorporated
Something
areas
like
of
that.
Bear County, you can burn household garbage.
But we're not unincorporated area.
But we are not unincorporated, so we can have our own ordinance, and our ordinance says you can't, because we
Right,
are.
yeah, I know what our ordinance
If
says,
you're,
yeah.
if you're unincorporated, and you're on 50 acres, and you want to burn something that stinks, who are you gonna bother? If you're 50 feet from your neighbor's house burning plastics and dead animals, who are you gonna bother? Well, everybody around you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no trash. We do allow.
I know, I've read the ordinance.
I make a motion, we accept the police department report as submitted.
I'll say,
All right, I got a motion by Alderman Tremblay and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the presentation of the monthly report by Chief Juarez as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. That is unanimous. All right, moving right along, updated announcements from Park Advisory Committee Chair Alderman Rapino with possible discussion and or action. Sir, you have the floor.
okay, we had our meeting, this past Tuesday, and, we discussed, they had, Easter festivities this past Sunday, and it went okay, that it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of participation, but there was enough, and they gave out gifts, and, several families showed up.
Easter Bunny was there.
And the Easter Bunny was there. We also discussed, some of the things that were still wrong with the community center. The bathroom ceiling still leaks, and the floor is still a little bit weak in one area. We also, the mayor, brought out that they were going to be serving breakfast and lunch at the pavilion, starting on June the 2nd, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And through July 31st, provided by
Southside.
the Southside School District, right?
Mhm.
And that'll be welcome. And you were gonna put out notices on the website and also.
Yeah, so I posted already on on Nextdoor, and then they sent us the flyer, and so we were supposed to contact Valero, JNS, the shops, Dollar General, just so that way they get enough exposure to it. But it's to his point, it's breakfast and lunch, Monday through Thursday, and on Thursday they give you for Friday because they're not coming out Friday.
When they were doing the wrestling.
Right, yeah, very similar to the COVID thing. But they'll be there from 11 to 11:30, so it's a small window. But I worked with Ray Lynn, and if there's a need for it, we'll open from 11 to 1 for them to eat there. And if they don't, then, we'll just not open it up, but the community center.
The next festivities that are on the plan is for Mother's Day, Father's Day, and the 4th of July. The girls, so.
So as far as the repairs that you need, have we got an estimate?
Yeah,
to do it?
our guys will take care of it, except for the ceiling maybe. And we have to call back the people that did the leveling.
So I do have answers to those,
Okay,
since you brought them up.
okay.
So the ceiling, we're gonna have to take a look, right? Because that's, we've already had a contractor come out, we've tried to fix it, so we need to figure that out. Maybe the leak's coming from somewhere else and not what we're thinking. The floor, it's not a part of the warranty, right? The leveling is something different. That's what they told us. So it may be just that it's a soft spot in the flooring that needs to be redone. So not necessarily the leveling caused the issue, because I think it was resolved and then it came back, right? So there could be just a soft spot in the floor that needs to be addressed.
So we'll have to get an investigation, not an investigation. Somebody to check it out and get a quote in. Okay, and the next meeting will be on the 6th of May. And that's all I have.
At 5:30?
Yes, 5:30. It's always at 5:30 because they have
Well, that's right.
festivities afterwards. Bingo and bunko and other things that take place.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Any questions? Moving right along. All right, let's go. 12A, discuss and or possible action on amending the personnel policy. I just got everybody in contact with each other, so I don't think there's been any progress and
We don't.
materially.
Each of the three of us have sent an email with our thoughts on how we should start.
Okay,
So that's where we're at now.
and is the SharePoint working for y'all? Like, did you try that link that I sent? No, okay, be sure to try it, because I don't want you to make edits on something and then you pass it to her and then you pass it to him.
Yes, sir.
And there's version control, so please try that next time. Anything else though to add to it?
Did you want to tell everybody who you appointed to the committee?
Oh, yeah, sure. So the committee that gracefully accepted to work on our personnel policy is Mayor Pro Tem Madero, our Alderwoman CJ, and our newest employee, Jeremy Fernandez, our deputy clerk. And so I think between the three of them, they have enough experience to really put us into the 21st century with our
And we'll
our
leverage the
personnel
city
budget.
attorney as necessary.
Yes. With discretion, because it costs us money.
I know, but we already have one thing that we need to fix, otherwise because we're violating our policy.
I got you.
I mentioned it.
Okay. All right, but yeah, that's our group. So if you have questions about it, by all means, reach out to any of them. Let us know if you have any questions. All right. That is that. Discussing a possible action on additional streetlights in Sandy Oaks. Chief, the only thing I have to ask you is if you let them know to start identifying areas.
I did, I need to remind them, I'm sure with what's been going on the last couple of weeks, it probably has. Yeah, I know it slipped my mind until I read it right now,
Yeah.
but when you told me, I did speak with all of them.
Yeah.
And just as it slipped mine, it's probably slipped there. So I
Oh,
will
that's
give them
fine.
again.
And I did have,
Then find places where
Right.
when they're out in the middle of the night that they think are safety concerns.
and I did have one resident actually call me right before I got here. So I need to call them back and figure out where they're thinking, but I put it on the website. I got an electronic copy or a proper copy of the photo. And then, I put it on the next door to invite them in to review.
So one comment regarding your post on next door. You indicated that there's a cost associated with it.
Not for them, but
Right, but that's not clear.
Okay.
I'm concerned that some of the citizens might look at that. I mean, just to specify that there's a cost to the city
Okay.
as a result of this, and so we'll be discretionary and evaluate your recommendation.
yeah,
because
I think I tried to explain that, but maybe I can go back
you
and-
did say that that's why, that you're gonna be discretionary, but you didn't say the cost was to the
to
city.
us. That's
So
right.
people might be apprehensive to contact you about it if they think it's a cost to them.
Okay.
Because we've discussed it, well, you all, before I was on the council, discussed it in here. And Alderman Fillinger was explaining how there was a cost associated with some of the lights within the city that were imposed upon the residents.
Okay,
So just, I vaguely recall that conversation, so some of the other residents may as well.
I'm scheduled to repost it tomorrow, just because I want to continue the conversation, so I'll update the wording on it.
Thanks.
Cool. All right, then we will move along. Discussing our possible action on the remaining balance of the $25,000 in ARPA funds from a November 14, 2024 council action to decal the newly purchased Chevrolet Tahoes and Chevrolet Malibu for the police department. And so, let me find this real quick. So I know we talked about redecaling the two Tahoes. But I wanted to throw in, at least for the sake of argument, the decaling of the Malibu, although I oppose it. I think the Malibu looks great as it is, although it is not much of an undercover vehicle because it already has a light bar on top, so you're not hiding anything from anyone. But this is for $37.50, which is a lot cheaper than what I thought it was going to be, to decal the vehicles in the exact same pattern as we have in our current vehicles.
So I believe we're trying to do this within the remaining balance of the $25,000 that were allocated previously, and you spent 14,000, but in addition to this, we also need to update laptops.
Yep.
Do we have the cost of the laptops, so we can take that into consideration before we decide if we want to include decals on the third vehicle?
Roughly, it's when I looked on, because we have reached out to Panasonic for a quote and to another vendor for a quote, and you're looking about $2,000 a laptop.
So it'd still be under the remaining
25.
11,000.
Right.
If it was 2,076, and then, yeah, so it'd be barely within.
Yeah.
If we did all three vehicles.
You have a question, sir?
No, I'm just trying to consider how to word it most.
Okay.
And I'll just go ahead.
I'm listening.
I would move that we allocate the remaining balance of $25,000 in ARPA funds to decal new purchase Chevrolet Tahoe and Chevrolet Malibu for the police department, upgraded laptops, and if funds remain to redecal, and I forgot the model number of this one,
The Malibu.
the Malibu.
Okay, so I do have a motion.
Second.
You have a call, not to exceed? You have a not to exceed number?
He said the remaining balance of the 20,
Reallocate the 25,000.
whatever's left of the 25,000.
We've already spent
14.
14 of that 25, there's 11,000 left.
I'm just reading what it said. The
The
remainder of the $25,000.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to allocate the remaining balance of the $25,000 ARPA movement from November 14, 2024 council meeting for the purpose of decals and laptops, decals for the Tahoes and the Malibu, and laptops for the Tahoes. Is that a good summarization,
The
sir?
Malibu is only if there's funds left.
Only if there are funds
That's the last
available.
choice.
All right, all those in favor say aye. All right, all those opposed? All right, that is unanimous. Moving right along. Somebody say it. All right, it's now 7:54. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Winner.